What's up, Pauper Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Jalapeno Paupers podcast. I'm Miles.
I'm Bernie.
And I'm Garrett.
Garrett's back. We're so happy to have him. He was traveling a little bit, but we're glad to have him back for this special episode. We're doing another draft. We're talking about lands, non-basic lands, utility lands, and what are our favorites and our best ones. And so we've got another draft format. Our top 5, and we're gonna take turns drafting and see what we can get.
We did not decide who goes first.
Oh, we didn't.
We didn't. Garrett can go first.
So we'll have Garrett go first. We'll just go this way. Snake back.
Okay.
I'll go third.
Perfect. All right.
Does that work?
That's fine. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, to maybe nobody's surprise, I'm going to go with the first pick as Command Tower. Obviously, being able to enter untapped and being able to get any of the colors that I need is incredibly valuable, especially in obviously in a 2-color deck. So I am absolutely going to take Command Tower as my first pick.
That makes sense.
Yep. Good pick.
No.
Good pick.
Yeah. Right. No surprise. No.
No surprises.
Bernie was talking up his first pick before we started, so I'm very curious to see what.
Well, you might take it still. There's a chance you take it.
All right, my number 2. Well, you can see my picks.
I can't see.
Okay, don't peek.
I'm not cheating.
No
I'm
peeking.
not a cheater.
Okay, my number 2. I love Command Tower. That was my number 1. Number 2 is like unto Command Tower, Opal Palace.
Gosh dang it.
Taps for colorless, immediately comes in untapped, but then you can pay 1, tap it, add 1 mana of any color in your commander color's identity. If you spend this mana to cast your commander, it enters the battlefield with a number of additional 1/1 counters on it, equal to the number of times it has been cast from the command zone this game. So, yeah, it mimics Command Tower in that it can fix you and get all your mana. Comes in untapped, which is great, and then adds those counters. What do you think about that ability? How useful is that ability?
Unbelievable.
Explain yourself.
That is, Opal Palace would be my number 1 pick. And this is why. Command Tower is awesome.
Yeah.
Doesn't go in every deck, though.
True.
Opal Palace will go in every one of my Pauper commander decks. Because that ability pushes your command. If you like a 1/1, if you have a 1/1 commander, how much better is a 2/2 commander or a 3/3 commander late in the game? That same with all the same abilities, it just pushes it a little, makes it a little stronger for 1 extra mana.
Yep.
And later in the game, you're going to have the extra mana to put into it.
Cast him again.
And late in the game, give it 2 or 3 counters. Like that just makes your commander such a bigger threat, and just kind of helps your deck function even better. Makes it harder to remove, gives it the better attacking power, even if it wasn't an attacker of a commander, like you didn't need it for attack.
Right.
It gives it that ability late in the game, and it goes in monocolor decks, it goes in 2-color decks. I'll put this in 3-color decks. I think it's so good. I think that ability is so good, and it's shocking to me because I didn't start playing with it in Pauper Commander because I never would consider this an EDH.
Right.
It's just so, it's not a good effect.
Yes. It's not impactful enough.
Yeah.
But in Pauper, that 1/1 counter can really matter.
Yeah.
Especially if it becomes 2 counters, 3 counters, whatever. So that's a really good point, because as we've said before, we're newer to Pauper, right? And primarily EDH, right? A lot more EDH. But so in that, coming from that background, Opal Palace is kind of a shrug, right? There's but this new lens, and in Pauper Commander, that makes sense. Super good. Those can really start to add up and really matter. Those incremental counters.
Yeah. So that's why I would have had it above Command Tower, because Command Tower doesn't go in mono.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really good point.
That makes sense.
Really good point.
What would you say is in Pauper Commander, as far as you guys have seen, like how many times would be the average number of times you would cast your commander in a game?
It depends.
Yeah.
But average. I love average. Obviously,
The first time you cast it,
It automatically
it's automatically bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the first time you cast it, it's cast, it enters with that extra counter on it.
Immediately has an impact.
Do you think you cast your commander more often in Pauper than you do in EDH, or do you think it's about the same?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's a good question. I think commanders have lower mana values.
Yeah.
So I would assume that you're casting them more. It also depends on how involved they are. We just played a game, and one player didn't cast his commander the whole time. So I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know. One or two. I don't know if you cast them more than in regular EDH. But there's so much variance, right? Like mana value, if it's a Voltron, how threatening the commander is. I don't know. I would assume maybe you cast them a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah.
One or two.
Solid first 2 picks from you two.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Well, you get the next 2.
I do get 2, so that is good. We're going to go, my number 1, I'm going to take Rhymewood Falls. So, sorry, not specifically Rhymewood Falls. I'm going to take the Snow Duels. So they have basic land types. They enter tapped, but they are fetchable. So you can get them off your land cyclers, the Lord of the Rings land cyclers. There's other land cyclers. You can get them with your green Search for Forest cards. And I really like those a lot. They go in every 2-color deck I make. And they would go in 3 and 4-color decks just to help fix the mana and be tutorable. That's my big thing with those. I'm not a huge fan of having a lot of tap lands, which has been a change for me when I first started building decks. And it's probably the biggest mistake that I think new players to the format make, is coming from EDH. You don't put a lot of basic lands in your deck. There's so many utility lands in EDH that you fill your deck with. So when you initially make the move to building Pauper decks, the instinct to load it with basic lands is not there. You still kind of have that instinct I need to fill this with non-basics.
Right. Lots of utilities, whatever I can get.
And when you start looking through the list, there's not a lot of utility lands, but there are a lot of 2-color lands.
Yeah.
And fix you.
Yeah.
And so you start throwing a lot of those in, and you have 10 lands that enter tapped, but add 2 colors. And you realize pretty soon after you start playing that is way too slow. You don't want turns 1 through 4 to be playing a tapped land because everyone else is going to get too far ahead. So I've started to cut a lot of tap lands, but the ones that I want just have the fixing. So have the tutor ability.
Right. If it's coming in tapped, it has to be worth it.
Yep. Yeah. I've got to be able to find it without just naturally drawing it. So that's my number 1. We'll go with the Snow Dual Land.
I like it. That was your number 1, but where was it on your list?
3.
Okay.
Yeah. My
cool.
Opal Palace Command Tower.
Gotcha.
The Snow Duels.
Cool. Okay.
How much play does snow types get in Pauper?
It depends on who you ask.
Okay.
A lot of people play snows to play 1 or 2 of the snow cards that care about snow.
That synergize with snow permanence. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Some people just ignore that though and don't play basic snows.
Yeah.
And some people will swear by always include snow because at least at worst it keeps your opponents guessing as to what you're doing, why you were playing snow.
Why you have a snow land.
But
I play him for the aesthetics. I just like snow covered things.
Like having an expensive Pauper deck.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, my number 2 pick. We're going to go with, this is hard. There are 3 or 4 that I really want that I don't think are going to come back to me. I'm going to go with Path of Ancestry.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good one. Yep.
So enters tapped. I just gave a monologue about not wanting tap lands.
And you just picked 2.
I just picked 2. These are 2 of the 3 or 4 that I will include in almost every deck.
Good reasons to be tapped.
Yeah.
Even
if I'm not playing a complete Kindred deck, because Path of Ancestry enters tapped. When you taps for mana of any color, which is great. And whenever you use that mana to cast a spell that shares a creature type with your commander, you scry 1. So even if I'm not playing a lot of, like, if I don't have a synergy with a specific creature type, I'll still probably play this because at least I can scry with my commander.
Right,
also.
Right.
And maybe I'll have a handful of others that I can get that scry with. So that's one of the few tap lands that I will definitely include in most decks. Not as many as Opal Palace or the tap snow duels, but it's still really high on my list.
Right. It's so command tower, but comes in tapped. But to make up for that, get a little extra value with the scry.
Yeah.
And I think you'd want it in places where you have a little more synergy, so you're scrying a little bit more with your type of your commander.
For sure.
But yeah, good one. Okay, where was that on your list?
That was probably 5.
Okay.
It's so hard. 4. It was between 4 and 6.
Sure.
So
yeah, somewhere in there. Okay. Back to me?
Back to you.
Okay, sweet. All right. We have Command Tower, Opal Palace, Path of Ancestry, and the duels, snow duels. Are the non-snow duels still?
They're still good.
Okay, well, let's see. I'm going to take Ash Barrens.
Interesting.
Comes in untapped, taps immediately for a colorless, but then it also has basic land cycling. So for 1, which I think is key for Ash Barrens, basic cycling, 1 generic, discard this card, search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So it can fix you, but it can also be played out if you really need it, and it doesn't come in tapped. So I think it's just very useful, versatile, and it can go in any deck, really. Maybe not monocolored, but
yeah,
because you're good there. But yeah, any dual or multicolored decks, I think it's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, nothing flashy, but that was my number 4 on my list, but my number 2 pick.
I had that one a little lower, but it is a really good land, and I do put it in a lot of decks.
Yeah.
For me, I'm really bad at deciding when I want to cycle or not, and so I am always resisting the land cycling or other cycling cards. So I don't even know if I didn't have Ash Barrens on my list just because. For me, I'm like, I'm really bad at the strategy behind using them and when I want to use it or cycle it or not.
Yeah, maybe mine's too high, but I don't know. I just think it just fits in a lot of places. So, okay, that's me.
Sweet. So I'm on to my second and third pick, right?
Yes. All
right. So this is probably, for the same reasons that Bernie took the snow dual lands, I'm going to take the Haunted Mire, those dual lands that enter tapped for pretty much the exact same reasons. They're the same cards minus the snow type, and so I think those are important to have in any dual 3-colored things to be able to go and fetch them or whatnot. So that's going to be my second pick. My third pick, I had some thinking about this when I was going through deciding how I made this list, and I initially did not have this on my list, and then going through a second time, I was like, actually, I think I do like these cards, and it's the Simic Growth Chamber, so the bounce lands. So
nice.
Originally, because I was thinking almost entirely as just like using this for ramp, that like it doesn't get you extra mana, and so I was like, I don't like this because it doesn't really help my generating more mana, but it does have the advantage of it's one card now doing 2 things, and so being able to get that and being able to have 3 mana with 2 cards really gives you some good card advantage.
Yes,
and so I really like those cards. So that's gonna be my third pick.
And I like those as well. There's some slight synergies and some things that you can do bouncing a land, right? And we'll probably talk about these, but the lands that come in and do something that enter the battlefield, Mystic Sanctuary, for example, returns something to your hand, so you can play the Growth Chamber, whatever, bounce the Mystic Sanctuary, play it again. So there's slight upside and slight synergies with those kinds of things. So that's a good one for sure. Okay. So my turn. My third pick. Oh, now I'm rethinking, but let's see. You know what? I think that will fall, so I'm going to skip that one. And then yeah, I think I'll take Mystic Sanctuary.
That's good.
As my next one. It's just a really powerful effect on a land. Basically, if you meet the conditions, so I'll read the card. It does have types. It does have island type, which is good. Mystic Sanctuary enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more other islands. When Mystic Sanctuary enters the battlefield untapped, you may put target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. So you do have to meet the conditions of 3 islands being in play, which isn't always trivial, but shouldn't be too hard, especially when you do have an instant or sorcery that's worth getting back. I think by that stage of the game, you're going to have 3 islands, and it'll work. And then it's basically, it's a spell or one of the creatures that returns something on a land, so it's awesome. Just another bonus effect on a land. So, and a powerful one at that. So I'll take Mystic Sanctuary as my third.
Okay.
Yeah.
My number 3. I'm gonna go with Hidden Grotto. This is a land from Bloomburrow that enters untapped, taps for colorless, and you can pay 1 to fix your colors, to get a tap for a mana of any color. But when it enters, you surveil 1. And I've started also putting this in almost every deck, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 colors. 3 colors is nice because it fixes, which is important in 3-color decks in Pauper Commander.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a lot of ways of fixing mana as easily as an EDH. And the Surveil is really good, especially if you can utilize your graveyard for any reason. But even if you can't, there's a chance you might have a card or 2 that you didn't remember putting in, that you can still throw it in the Surveil a card into the graveyard, and maybe there's a chance you can use it later.
What do you mean? I know every card I put in my deck. I don't forget.
Yeah, I forget all. So I like, there's also scrying lands that will scry. Maybe those will come up later.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
I like the Surveil.
Yeah, I was going to scry versus Surveil. Why Surveil over scry?
So typically I will include 1 or 2 cards that interact with the graveyard.
Yeah, okay.
With my graveyard.
Right.
So that the Surveil actually has some upside.
Yeah.
I do like including both, though, a lot.
Yeah, totally.
I like them.
Surveil, just a little more usable than scry. Because, your graveyard can turn into another, it's draw a card sometimes, right? If you dump it into your graveyard, it has flashback, or you have recursion. It's just another zone where you can access cards versus putting it on the bottom.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a little more usable than scry.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, you get another one, right?
One more. This is so hard. So this is my 4th. Okay, so I still get 1 after this.
Right.
Oh, these are gonna be a lot of these are gonna be gone. We're gonna go with the cyclers, the monocolored cyclers. So like Forgotten Caves. So it enters, they all enter tap. They tap for a single color, and then they also cycle for a colored mana of whatever color they tap for.
So for not liking tap lands, you sure picked a lot.
Those are the I don't.
Those are the only tap lands that you'll.
I usually have 4.
Okay.
4 is usually the most I'll put in a deck.
Okay.
If I put in more, they've got to synergize.
Right.
But the ones that I put in are both the duals, the type, basic land typed duals that enter tap.
Snow and non-snow?
No, not snow.
Okay.
Path of Ancestry. I'm also like Garrett, though. I almost never play these cyclers as lands. I almost always draw them.
Right.
Unless I'm mulliganing too much and they're my only lands in my hand, then I'll just play them on turn 1.
Yep.
Be done with
Yep.
it. Forget about them.
How do you use these? What's the best case scenario or the best way to use these? Or they're in here because they're flexible, right? Like,
yeah,
in an emergency they're a land, but typically you're cycling them.
Yeah,
you draw them late. You don't need a land. Great, cycle it.
exactly.
That's kind of, and then an emergency. So it's kind of like a little safety valve or a.
It is.
But best case scenario, what's the best use case for these tapped lands? I guess
Best case, I think, is drawing it late.
yeah, right. You're flooding.
Yeah.
You draw this. This prevents you. This is flood prevention. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think any of those are fine. They're good lands to have.
Right.
So that would be my fourth pick. The cyclers, the monocolored cycling lands.
Sweet. I like it. Okay, back to me, right?
Yep.
For my fourth. Okay. Man,
I have no idea what I'm.
there's still a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
But I think we're getting into the more niche ones where they're more deck specific now. Less universally good maybe. But okay, let's see. I am going to take a little more specific card. I'm going to take Mortuary Mire. Okay, it's a black. It doesn't actually have a land type, but it taps for a black. Mortuary Mire enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters, you may put target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. So, great recursion card. And I was looking at this and thinking about this. I mean, creatures matter a lot in Pauper, right? And creatures die all the time in Magic. And this one does it. There's a similar card, Witch's Cottage, which may come up, but Witch's Cottage does have a land type, which is good, but you have to meet the condition of the swamps. You have to have 3 swamps, and it has to come in untapped for the same effect. So Mortuary Mire it's not conditional. You just play it, and it returns a creature to the top of your library. So I think that effect is really powerful, similar to Mystic Sanctuary, right, with the instants and sorceries, but I just like the not having a condition on that. So that is my pick. A little more specific. Obviously, it needs to go in a black deck, but yeah, that's mine.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that's a good pick.
I'm gonna kind of follow the same pattern as I'm also gonna take a more niche card. Also, it has to go in a black deck.
No, don't take it.
Bojuka Bog.
No.
I feel like in a game, in PDH, you're gonna have some deck you're playing against is gonna have some graveyard interaction in some ways, and so being able to shut that down in some ways, or slow it down a little bit, I think is really advantageous. So yeah, I'm gonna have to take the Bojuka Bog as my fourth pick. Does enter tapped, but yeah, I think the upside of it is, in certain cases, could be really useful.
Totally.
All right, I wanted to talk about this, my fifth pick. It's also kind of it's maybe like an anti-Garrett pick, because it's a pick that the kind of decks that I do not like building, but I think the card is really interesting and cool. And it's going to be Halimar Depths. So this is the one that it's blue. It enters tapped. When it enters, you can look at the top 3 cards of your library and then put them back in any order. So I think for like building a control type deck, I think being able to manipulate, it's okay that it enters tapped because, with control, you might be going a little bit slower anyways. Yeah. But being able to manipulate your top 3 cards, I think could be really advantageous. And so I kind of like that. It's an interesting play.
Yeah, I like that one too. That was on my list for sure. That's a powerful effect. I like that one.
Yeah, those are my 5s.
Dang.
Cool. Okay.
I have one that I really want. So please don't take it. I really wanted Bajuka Bog too.
That Bajuka Bog is really good. And I was just going to pause on that one and say, like, there's a lot of graveyard interaction as far as I've noticed in Pauper, right? And I think graveyard hate or graveyard interaction, to stop that is underused. And so Bajuka Bog is a nice good pick. That's great. And it's on it's just kind of another spell on a land, which is awesome. Okay, my last pick, right? Oh, man. Okay. I'm looking at my options here. Yeah, let's see. All right, I'm going to take it. Basilisk Gate.
Oh, gosh, dang it.
Basilisk Gate is so good. So it's a gate. It comes in untapped. It taps for a colorless, but pay 2, tap it. Target creature gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of gates you control. Activate only as a sorcery. So this is there's plenty of gates. Obviously, this needs to go in a gate deck, and you need lots of other gates to, well, not a lot, but you need other gates to pump up your creature. But deck specific, right? But in the right deck, it's super powerful, and it comes in untapped. You can use it immediately, and then late game, you pump up your creature. You give your Trampler +8/+8. GG.
Yeah.
Did you want that one?
I did.
I'm sorry.
I did want that one.
I'm sorry. Okay, that was me. I'm done.
Okay. All right, my last one. I'll go with a card that it's a relatively new card, New Land Cycle, printed last year. Nope, 2 years ago. I don't remember. It is the Hidden Lands from Lost Caverns of Ixalan.
Oh, nice. Discover.
The Discover one.
Yeah, those are cool. Those are cool.
Yeah, I don't play these often, but I think
Did you
really
take 4 tapped lands?
Yes. Yes, I did.
So yeah, read one of those.
Yeah, so they enter the battlefield tap. They tap to add a color of mana, and you can pay 4 and a colored mana. So the blue one, 4 and a blue. Tap it, sacrifice it to discover 4, only as a sorcery. So just having your lands late in the game be able to be a card that you can cast, random, but the way Discover works is nice, is if it's a card that you don't necessarily want to cast, you just put it in your hand. So you don't have to cast it off of the Discover ability. And that's just nice. Sometimes turn 9, 10 in a game, you're out of cards.
Yeah.
You just need some action. Just sack one of your lands and get a free card.
Yep.
Costs you 5.
Little expensive.
6 mana to do it.
But yes, in those cases where it's great late game, right? When you run out of gas and you need something, and yeah, I like that one. That was on my list for sure.
Yeah. So did I get 4? So I got the Snow Duels.
Yeah.
Do I still have another pick? No, I don't, right?
No, you
Shot of Ancestry. I have...
You had Hidden Grotto.
So that's not tapped. Forgotten Cave. The cyclers are tapped, and then this is tapped. Yeah, 4 of my 5 are tapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did I have?
You guys stole a lot of my picks.
I had Opal Palace, Ash Barrens, Mortuary Mire, Mystic Sanctuary, and Basilisk Gate.
Yeah.
Not bad.
No, this was fun. This was good.
Yeah. Why? I'm curious why there's none of us picked like a fetch land like Escape Tunnel or Evolving Wilds.
Escape Tunnel would be the one that I would play because it does the extra thing.
You got 2 options.
Will you read that one?
Yeah, here I can pull it up. So Escape Tunnel, you can tap it, sack it, and search for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Or you can tap it, sack it, and target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn.
So I'll explain why I don't play these that much, and then maybe if your answer is different, Miles. I don't play the Evolving Wilds of Terramorphic Expanses that often because I'm mostly don't build 3-color decks. That's the main reason. If I was building a 3-color deck, I would put them in for sure.
Yeah.
Just because of the limited ways that you can fix your mana base in PDH. So in 2-color decks, so I don't play them, and it goes back to my reasoning behind lands entering tapped. If I can just play an extra basic instead of that, I'm going to do it every time.
Yeah.
So that it will just enter untapped, and I can use it. There's some niche cases where you might want to shuffle your deck, like if you're scrying a lot and you just want a shuffle. I don't know. That card, that blue card where you look at 3 and then put them back. If you don't want them, you can sack your... I don't know. It's probably niche, but there might be reasons to play them in 2-color decks.
They're also good in landfall decks.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Landfall decks are awesome.
Tap it, get another one, get 2 landfalls.
Yes.
That's nice. But yes, same reason they're just kind of a little slow. And I think Ash Barrens just does it better.
Yeah.
From your hand.
Yep.
You can do it at instant speed. So someone passes turn, I have a mana open, I cycle Ash Barrens to go get my needed, card that I'm missing, and then I can play it untapped on my turn. So I think Ash Barrens just does it a little better. It comes in untapped. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So hopefully this year, though, we get some new 3-color commanders.
Yeah.
If there were more options, I think I definitely would build more 3-color commanders, and perfect in those decks.
Yeah, totally. That was a good question. Any other ones that you wanted to shout out? I think we didn't take Crystal Grotto, which when it enters it scry 1, similar to Hidden Grotto, but it just scries instead of Surveil.
Yep.
No one took Witch's Cottage, which returns a creature from your graveyard to the top of your library, but you've got to have 3 swamps.
There's a few lands that when they enter create a token creature, so Colony Gardens and Dwarven Mine.
Those are cool.
Those are cool too.
I
like those.
They're good, when you need them for sure.
Also, sorry, Scott.
Yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on Study Hall? So being able to enter untapped, taps for colorless, or you can pay 1, tap it, add a mana of any color, and then scry X, where X is the number of times you cast your commander.
That one's good too. I like that one a lot.
It's the Opal Palace, but
scrying.
Yeah.
I like it. I haven't played it much. I should probably try playing that one more. I have a scry deck. I think I put it in there.
It makes, if it makes sense, if Opal Palace is good, well, obviously 1/1 counters are better, but
than scrying,
But that effect is kind of nice if you're casting your commander a lot. You get a little extra value. It just seems a little underwhelming, or yeah. I don't know. And then Crystal Grotto just enters and you scry. So if you're looking for that, I think there's things that do it,
Yeah. There's also the monocolored lands from Phyrexia, all will be 1. Is that right? That they enter tap for a color.
The spheres,
and then you can pay 2.
Yes.
Sack them to draw a card. Is that right? 2 to sack and draw a card. Yeah. So those, I like those too. Those are solid lands.
I was gonna shout those out too. I really like those. Flood prevention, right? Or late game, whatever. Pay 1 in a color, draw a card. It's turn your lands into draws.
Yeah.
So I really like those ones.
Yeah, and there's also another cycle from Streets of New Capenna that's 2-colored that does a similar thing, but it costs an extra 2 mana to draw a card. So it's 4 mana, sack it, draw a card, but you get the 2 colors of mana with the land.
Right. 2 generic, 2 of the colors. Yeah, then draw that way.
I think we hit a lot of the good ones though. That was a good draft.
I'm curious what people think about these.
Ah, yes.
The depletion lands.
I like them. I was really high on them.
Yeah.
Really high on them. I bought a bunch.
Read one of them. So Hickory Woodlot. Hickory Woodlot comes into play tapped with 2 depletion counters on it. Tap it, remove a depletion counter, add 2 green mana to your mana pool. If there are no depletion counters on it, sack it. So comes in tapped, but then taps for 2 the next 2 turns. So it'll give you 4 mana over 2 turns, and then it goes away.
3 turns.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's 4 mana over 3 turns, and then you're down a land.
Unless you can proliferate.
Yeah, there are ways to really use this that I think are awesome.
Unless you bounce it with the growth
terrible.
chamber. With the growth chamber.
Terrible.
Oh, get your depletion counters back. Yeah, so I don't know what would be the best case scenario for those lands. I mean, obviously, if you want to ramp, you want to go fast.
Yeah. If you want to do something huge early.
Yes.
And then you can afford to slow down a little bit after you do your huge thing.
I put them in 1 or 2, and they were fine.
You had a sweet play with them though. Then I'm pretty sure this was you. You used it to pay the two of the kicker costs on an ever-flowing chalice.
Yes.
So that yes to a permanent extra mana.
Yeah.
That was a good play. I liked that synergy a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
And that you can do that in any color deck.
Yep.
So any of these would work.
Pay those into true.
Chalice.
Yeah, that was sweet. But I did find myself a little hesitant to use it a second time. But at the same time, it's whatever. Like, I don't know. I think they're good in certain cases.
I got high on those mainly from EDH and maybe
you got high on those.
Real high. Oh. Mainly the white one though. So in EDH, white is so good at catch-up ramp. So if you're behind on number of lands as your opponents, there's cards that can go and get you base planes to put on the battlefield. And those work super good in those kind of decks because you get to ramp early, sack them.
Yeah.
Now behind lands of everyone, you can go and get lands with your white card, your white ramp cards.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. Yeah.
I haven't looked too hard to see if that kind of synergy exists in Pauper Commander. I'd be a little surprised if there's any, or for sure there's not as many options to
right.
So I started to kind of cut them because I started to put them in decks, and I was like you, I really didn't like tapping it that last time.
Yeah.
And so it almost slowed me down way more.
It's true. It's true. But I think, I don't know. They're kind of interesting for sure. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? Have you played with them? Do you like them? Why do you like them? Why don't you like them? I'm curious to hear what other people think about those. Any other lands you want to shout out?
I'm also kind of surprised that we didn't talk about any of the lands that either have synergies with artifacts or that were artifact lands themselves.
Yes.
With PDH.
Yeah.
What is the artifact interaction like, and how robust of a strategy is it to have those in there?
I think in those decks they're incredible.
Yes, right.
So I think it's just more niche.
Yeah.
I think when we're only taking 15 total lands, we didn't want to get into too many of the niche, too niche cards. But I think if we would have gone another round, I think they might have
been
popped up.
Yeah.
We would have had more things like that pop up.
Those are right. Definitely good, but a little more specific than some of these specific lands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but still great in the decks that they're in, right? Yeah. That want them. Okay. Any other decks you wanted to shout out? I think we got a lot of the good ones.
A lot of the good ones.
Yeah. You guys let us know. Did we miss any? Are we sleeping on something? Let us know what your favorite lands are that we may have missed. Oh, I forgot. I was going to take Swamp first.
It's cheater.
Swamp is the best land.
Yeah.
What's the best basic land?
Forest.
Oh.
Forest. For sure.
Okay. What's next?
You know what's next.
20 common questions. Here we go. Bernie, you've got the card.
I do.
And you're going to ask Garrett and I. And Hal's going to help us. This is Hal, by the way. We got...
I've been thinking about this. Is Bernie going to throw a fast one on us? So we've been talking about lands the entire podcast. Is he going to do a land, or is he thinking we're going to go that direction and make us waste a guess on?
You'll find out soon.
Is it going to be a meta pick?
You embarrassed me last time. It's my turn to go.
Okay, because you said you had a really tough one, we called in
the expert,
the pro, Lobert. He's here with us. He's here to help us with these 20 questions because
I'm not going to help.
Okay, all right. Thanks for being here, Lobert.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, I will start. Is it a permanent?
Yes.
Do I have to ask if it's a common?
No, it is.
Okay.
It is common. It is common. Yes.
So it's permanent?
Okay. So far, so good. Is it monocolored?
No.
Oh.
Is it a land?
It is not a land.
Right.
So it's most likely this could be an artifact or an Eldrazi.
Yeah, why did he answer it that way? So it's is it colorless?
Yes.
Okay.
That was 4.
Just making sure. Yeah, is it an artifact?
It is an artifact.
Okay.
Should we ask if it's a creature too? An artifact creature.
I think that would be about 50-50. That's a good question.
Is it a creature?
It is not a creature.
Okay.
So then we've got equipment mana erotic to further filter. I was going to say, does it have an activated ability? But don't answer that because it does.
Yeah. Yeah. Does it tap for mana?
No.
Okay.
So either an ability or... Should we ask if it's an equipment?
Yeah.
Is it equipment?
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
We can go an over-under on a mana value.
Yeah, I like that. What? 3, 2?
Is it 2 or less?
Yes.
Nice. Okay. What else would be good? Does it give... Well, this is...
Yeah, you're just talking.
What are we at?
You are at 9.
Okay.
Got plenty.
Yeah.
Sorry, flying, haste. I don't know. What are common abilities?
I mean, we could ask if it pumps power.
Yeah,
It's very likely to.
probably does, right? Yeah.
It would be if it was a no, that would narrow it down a lot.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it might be worth asking.
Yeah. And we got plenty. Does it pump power?
No.
What? Okay. Okay, that's good.
That was 10.
okay.
Okay, so that eliminates a lot of equipment.
Right. Does it give flying?
Yes.
Okay, so
Nice.
let's start like
Yeah.
there's Sky Shaper. There's
The
so many wings.
yes. Cloak of the Bat. Is that what it's called? Right.
Can I ask if it's? I want to ask if it's an equipment. Is it an equipment?
I already. Yes.
We did. We know that.
That you got that one already.
We know that one, right? Yeah.
I want to know.
And it's two and under.
2 and under gives flying.
Doesn't pump.
No.
I've got it up and ready.
No.
There's just so many. Okay. Oh, the Cloak of the Bat, and then the haunted cloak.
Haunted Cloak gives vigilance, haste, and trample.
Oh yeah, not flying. Okay.
But there's
No.
so Cloud Cell gives power, so it's not anything like that. There's Cobble Wings.
What are how many wings are there? There's one flying and haste. What's that one called? I'm not an expert in card. Yeah, Bat does that, but there's also another one that does the same thing. Winged.
Stop Fleet Footer Shambles.
Oh yeah, I think that sounds right. Yeah. Does it give haste?
Yes.
Oh. Okay, flying. Does it grant any other abilities?
No.
Okay. What are we at?
13.
So it's
Flying is
down to
okay.
either like Cobbled Wings or either they've done it a couple of times. One you can sacrifice to get your creature unblockable. Then the other one you can't.
So does it have any other text on the card? I mean, in the
As far as what?
well, the abilities, it doesn't grant any other abilities.
Correct.
It doesn't grant the creature any abilities, so that's not the same thing as.
We could ask if it costs 1 or 2. Now, that would narrow down between either Cobbled Wings or Cloak of the Bat.
Does it cost 1 mana?
No.
So is that Cloak? Because Cloak of the Bat 2 and 1
It's 2 and 2.
2 and 2.
It's hard.
I know, right?
I'm such a database baby.
Yes,
just like
I know. It's hard. What are we at?
14. Yeah, 6 more.
I mean, we could start just like, taking a stab at like either. I just keep thinking Cloak of the Bat or Cobbled Wings.
Have we mentioned the cards?
Yes.
Well,
okay, that was a little hack. All right. Yeah, I mean, how do we narrow those down now? We could just ask. Does it have bat?
And start asking.
Well,
we're close enough.
One of the rules: if we ask a card and we're wrong, then we're out.
What do we ask? We can just ask it.
No.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Contain the word bat.
Yes.
Is that your question?
Does it have bat in the title?
No.
Oh. Okay, but we've mentioned it. So what was the other one?
Cobbled Wings.
Cobbled Wings. Could it also be the sandals? Isn't the sandals haste and flying?
I think so.
Yeah. So it could be those?
Yeah.
Does it have sandals in the name?
Yes.
Is it Fleet?
Is that the word?
Is it Fleet Feather or Fleet?
We're trying to say it.
This is yes.
Cheap.
3 left.
No.
Wait.
Am I wrong?
No, I don't know what this is.
Oh, because you're searching the org.
Oh, yeah. You're right. I just don't want to get this wrong. Is it Fleet Feather Sandals?
It is. Fleet Feather.
Nice.
Good job, guys.
Great work. Thanks, Lobber, for helping.
Thank you, Lobberts.
Yeah, you would. Now the question: would you two have gotten that as Lobber?
Easily.
Okay.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Sure.
I know that one.
Absolutely not. I don't even know if I've ever seen that card.
Okay, Fleet Feather Sandals costs 2 for artifact equipment. Equipped creature has flying and haste. Equip cost of 2.
Cool.
Sweet card.
Yeah. Cool.
I was really thinking you were going to try to do Sky Shaper. That would have been a hard one for someone to guess.
I don't even know if I know what that card is.
That's the artifact that you sack
And all of
to give everything flying.
fly.
That is a sweet card. Yeah, that's awesome.
Doesn't come up in a lot of searches when you're like equip or
Right. Because it doesn't equip, right?
Right.
It's just global, give all your creatures flying. It's a sweet card. Yeah. Okay, well, thanks everyone. Thanks for Lobert for helping us out.
Where can we find you, Lobert?
Lobert, just Google it. I don't know.
Google Lobert.
He makes awesome YouTube videos.
Patreon
Check him out.
on YouTube. Yeah, check him out.
I'm sure if you're watching this, you know who Lobert is.
Yes.
And if you if you like what we do, like, comment, subscribe, show us some love. Thanks everyone, and stay spicy.